Well, good morning. I have this thought I wanted to share with you, and it's about Bitcoin and how Bitcoin could be the savior for people's retirement in the future. Now, this is going to sound a little crazy, but bear with me as I'm cooking breakfast here. First of all, Bitcoin, let's understand the dynamics of Bitcoin. One, it is 21 million will be produced in the end, whenever the end is, which is far away. They are produced via a miner, which are Bitcoin miners, which you probably have heard a lot about, that kind of thing. And this coming month is a halving, meaning half of the Bitcoin is being produced today will be produced over the next 4 years. And then 4 years after that, there'll be half of that. And eventually it'll come down to, I think there's 19 million and some change of the 21 million that is available. Now, here's a couple other things to think about. There are basically 75% of all Bitcoin that was bought previously has never been sold. So that's not on the market to be traded. 7.8 million Bitcoin has been lost. Recently, a lawsuit from a guy in England who he says his, girlfriend or something threw out his hard drive, which had 8,000 coins on it, which is worth 560 million today, is lost. So imagine 7.8 million is lost, which really brings it down to about 15 and some change million coin that is available. And if only 75% of them or 25% is available to trade of that 15, well, there's not a lot. Here's where it gets really crazy. About 30 some days ago or so, maybe longer than that, the SEC approved 11 Bitcoin or 11 ETFs approval to be traded as spot Bitcoin pricing, meaning you go buy this ETF, let's say it's BlackRock or Fidelity's ETF, they have to go buy an equal number of shares of the value that you bought of that ETF. So, which means all of a sudden there's been a flood of purchasing of Bitcoin, which has driven the price up over the last, 30, 45 days. Now, start doing the math on this. If you just look at it from a mathematical standpoint, if you have 10 years from now and you take the average return over the last 5 years of Bitcoin, which is 104% on average year over year, and you put $1,000 in, and let's say you're contributing to an IRA, but instead of contributing to an IRA, you just bought Bitcoin with that $500 a month, which would be $6,000 a year. According to my HP 12C calculator, you would have 145 million and a whole bunch more. 145 million because you contributed $6,000 a year or $500 a month at if you use the 104% average return over each year for the last 5 years, you would have 145 million if you started with $1,000 of Bitcoin and contributed $500 a month for 10 years, 120 months. Mathematically, it makes complete sense. There's not going to be any more Bitcoin produced. There won't be any, 2-for-1 splits. It is what it is. And as more and more people buy Bitcoin and don't sell it, that means the supply on the market deteriorates. It shrinks, which means it's just out of pressure based on demand is going to push the Bitcoin price higher. And this is where they come up with these $500,000 a coin. Presently, it's at 70,000 and some change. It could be $1 million a coin. Could you imagine if you were like middle of the road household with littered with debt, and you were able to scrape up 1,000 to buy Bitcoin initially, and then $500 a month, and you just diligently bought Bitcoin, dollar cost average into it for 10 years, and you had, I mean, even if you, worst case scenario, came up with 10 million, you would live a hell of a retirement. I mean, is this how the United States government gets out of its $34 trillion in debt? Is because they probably, and they do own Bitcoin because they've confiscated a bunch of it from bad actors. And I'm not talking about Hollywood actors, even though there's a lot of bad actors, but people who are, on the bad side of, law. I mean, could this be the solution to your retirement dreams? I don't know, but it sounds a whole lot better than a lot of other buying stuff that goes up, goes down. And granted, Bitcoin goes up, goes down. And I mean, we saw that go from 60,000 a couple of years ago down to, 15,000. Yet, they're not making any more of it, sort of like beach property. There is no government or governing body that can dictate what Bitcoin can do, or if they could do a 2-for-1 split, or they could make more of it. There is none of that. It is what it is. So as long as there is interest in Bitcoin, this could be the answer to a whole lot of people who are looking at retirement and they're 55. This could be the answer, the solution, even if it's just fractional of that number I put up there, $145 million. Wow. You can live a good life on, $1.5 million at 4%. You could live, most people could live on retirement on that. So something to look at, something to do the math on. And, remember, this is not advice and this is not a recommendation. What it is it's a thought. It's something to think about.